We have reports from Paris that Diana, Princess of Wales, has been killed.
Intro. We have reports from Paris that Diana, Princess of Wales, has been killed in a car accident. Princess Diana's niece just dropped a massive truth bomb, and it's not what the royal family wants you to hear. After years of staying quiet, she's stepping out of the shadows with a story so explosive it might change everything we thought we knew about Diana's world. Forget the fairy tale glitz. This is a raw confession that exposes the heartbreak, secrets, and behind-the-scenes drama that everyone tried to bury. Get ready, because once you learn what she's been holding back, there's no going back. I feel my role is supporting my husband whenever I can and always being behind him, encouraging, and, most importantly, being a mother and a wife. The hidden Spencer emerges. For years, everyone focused on Princess Diana, the people's princess who captured hearts around the globe. Yet, in Diana's own family, there was another figure quietly standing by, someone who has now stepped into the light in a way no one expected. Meet Lady Jane Fellows, the hidden Spencer who is finally emerging from the shadows and turning heads with her understated yet powerful influence. Unlike Diana's more public life, Lady Jane has long kept a low profile. She rarely gave interviews and avoided the spotlight, even as her sister's fame soared to unimaginable heights. In fact, she was once so determined to stay under the radar that she declined to appear in major documentaries about Diana. While many wondered why Jane chose to remain silent, those closest to the Spencer family knew she was a private pillar of support for the people she loves. But Jane's quiet role changed overnight when she traveled to Paris in 1997 with Prince Charles and her other sister, Lady Sarah, to bring Diana's body home. The entire world was watching, and in that heartbreaking moment, Jane stepped forward with dignity and grace. She even delivered a reading at Diana's funeral, a touching tribute that revealed just how close the two sisters were. Over the years, her discreet actions have made a big impact on William and Harry. From attending key events in their lives to welcoming them warmly at family gatherings, Lady Jane has become a trusted confidant. Some insiders say she is now perfectly positioned to help mend the rift between Harry and William. She knows the weight of royal expectations yet remains fiercely loyal to her family's well-being above all else. Another sign of her influence, her daughter Laura is now Princess Charlotte's godmother, proving how tightly woven her branch of the Spencer family remains with the current royal generation. While Jane's name rarely dominates headlines, those who follow royal news realize she's a major force behind the scenes. So why is Lady Jane stepping forward now? Some speculate she wants to uphold Diana's legacy by offering genuine family unity at a time when the royal world seems more divided than ever. In a realm where secrets can destroy reputations, Lady Jane's gentle willingness to stand by her nephews and remain true to her late sister's values speaks volumes. The hidden Spencer may not chase the cameras, but her emerging presence could shape the course of royal history in a surprisingly big way. Night of Anger. Laura's version of Diana's final hours, Laura Fellows had never felt such a surge of emotion in her life. While her mother, Lady Jane Fellows, and her aunt, Lady Sarah McCorquodale, were recognized faces in the wake of Princess Diana's passing, Laura had tried to stay in the background. But after years of bottling up her feelings, she finally decided to share what she experienced during those haunting hours in August 1997. She was at home that night, half asleep, when the phone rang. The anxious tone of her mother's voice was enough to jolt her fully awake. Something terrible had happened to Diana, and the details were unclear. Laura sat on the edge of the sofa, staring at the television screen, where breaking news bulletins hinted at a tragedy in Paris. She felt her anger rise with every contradictory update, as if the world itself couldn't decide what had truly transpired. Though fear clenched her heart, it burned her up inside to sense that nobody seemed to have reliable information. When word came through that Diana did not survive, Laura's initial shock gave way to a storm of fury. She felt powerless, shoved into silence by the enormity of the event. Why hadn't the people closest to Diana been protected from the swirl of rumors? Why were officials and reports so disorganized? And why was her beloved aunt, a woman who had devoted so much of her life to others, reduced to a tragic headline in a matter of minutes? Laura's anger only grew when her mother and Aunt Sarah flew to Paris, joining Prince Charles to bring Diana home. She vividly remembers the helplessness of waiting in London, anxiously tuning into every newscast, hoping for a shred of clarity. It seemed surreal that someone so full of warmth and compassion was gone forever, leaving a family grappling with shock and grief while the world's cameras looked on. That night forged a resolve in Laura. She felt let down by the chaos and lack of answers, but she also recognized the depth of the global love for Diana. Over time, the initial anger softened into determination. She wanted to honor Diana's spirit by supporting her cousins, William and Harry, and championing the causes Diana had held dear. Recounting that night, Laura still shudders at the memory of the breaking news and her pain-fueled outrage. Yet, she believes sharing her story is a step toward finding acceptance, a way to transform heartbreak into a quiet but steadfast commitment to keep Diana's compassionate legacy alive. Royal cover-up. Accusations of royal cover-ups. Ever since Princess Diana's tragic death in 1997, rumors of a royal cover-up have simmered beneath the surface. The world watched in shock when news broke that Diana was fatally injured in a Paris tunnel. Almost immediately, theories began to swirl about whether key details had been hidden to protect the royal family's reputation. Although various inquests and official statements pointed to a combination of driver error and relentless paparazzi, many still question whether the full truth was ever revealed. Part of the suspicion stems from the immediate confusion during the night of the crash. Some close to Diana recall contradictory information filtering through official channels. One person would insist she was severely injured, while another insisted she had actually died. Princess Diana's sister, Lady Sarah McCorquodale, has spoken about her torment that night, saying she felt a surge of anger at the chaotic reports and muddled messaging. Critics argue that if such critical details were being so poorly handled, perhaps larger facts were also obscured. Fuel was added to the fire during the 2007 inquest into Diana's death. Although the jury ultimately decided that Diana and her companion, Dodi Al-Fayed, were unlawfully killed by a mix of impaired driving and paparazzi interference, some involved parties hinted that they believed the investigation did not address every underlying factor. The Spencer family's quiet but pointed insistence on thoroughness in that inquest made headlines. While they never directly accused the palace of foul play, their pursuit of clarity left many wondering what additional truths they were seeking. Over the years, supporters of these cover-up theories point to Diana's own words as potential evidence. She once famously spoke of feeling unprotected within the royal setup, even suggesting that people inside the firm treated her mental health struggles as mere inconveniences. Then there are the secret tapes she recorded for her biographer, Andrew Morton, which revealed a woman desperate to be heard, even if it meant bypassing royal protocol. Still, not everyone believes there was a cover-up. Some argue that what truly happened was a series of tragic missteps combined with unrelenting media pressure. Yet, the accusations persist, fueled by the dramatic contrast between Diana's open personality and the royal family's traditional silence. Whether these accusations hold any weight or not, they speak to the enduring power of Diana's story. Even decades later, the question of what might have been hidden, and why, continues to captivate people around the world. Feud at Althorpe. The Spencer family's Althorpe, the grand ancestral home of the Spencer family, has long been a symbol of tradition, history, and regal charm. But beneath its stately walls, whispers of a family feud have set tongues wagging ever since Princess Diana's tragic passing. Althorpe has been at the center of complicated feelings and power struggles among her siblings, Lady Sarah McCorquodale, Lady Jane Fellows, and Charles Spencer, the 9th Earl Spencer. While the world remembers Diana as the beloved, people's princess, her older brother and sisters have quietly tried to keep the peace. Yet, according to insiders, tensions still flare behind the scenes. Some claim the root of the feud dates back to childhood, with Diana's parents divorcing when she was young. Sarah and Jane, both older, were said to feel protective of Diana, but they also developed their own ideas on how the Spencer name should be upheld. When Diana married Prince Charles and shot to global fame, her siblings were left juggling their desire for privacy with the bright glare of publicity. Over the years, each sibling carved out a different path. Sarah threw herself into charity work, Jane maintained a fiercely private lifestyle, and Charles took on the official role of Althorpe steward. But Althorpe itself became a flashpoint after Diana's death. The estate is not only a national treasure but also Diana's final resting place. Sources say disagreements have arisen about how best to honor her memory. Should there be more public events at Althorpe, or should the family protect its tranquility? Sarah, who has often been close to Prince William and Prince Harry, prefers a respectful approach that honors Diana's charitable legacy. Jane, known for her reserved ways, believes that too much publicity cheapens Diana's memory. Meanwhile, Charles, as the Earl, has the final say, yet he is accused by some of prioritizing modernization and press engagements to keep the estate profitable. Adding to the friction, there are rumors that Sarah and Jane worry about the ongoing rift between William and Harry. They want Althorpe to be a place that reminds the brothers of their mother's spirit, not a battleground for further tension. While official statements insist the family is united, observers say that every summer gathering or significant anniversary sparks fresh debate over Althorpe's direction. Regardless of who truly holds the reins, one thing is clear: Althorpe remains a potent reminder of Diana's larger-than-life presence. For the Spencer family, balancing her cherished memory with their own goals can feel like a storm always waiting to break. Why she stayed quiet? For decades, Laura Fellows, Princess Diana's lesser-known niece, watched a media storm swirl around her famous aunt's life and tragic passing. While her mother, Lady Jane Fellows, and her aunt, Lady Sarah McCorquodale, each had their own moments in the spotlight, Laura chose to fade into the background. She attended family events, quietly supported charitable causes, and kept her feelings sealed away, far from the reach of tabloids. Many insiders say that in private, she wrestled with a deep anger and heartbreak that bubbled up the night Diana died, an unforgettable grief that bound the Spencer family forever. So why stay silent for so long? According to those close to her, Laura always felt an enormous sense of responsibility to protect her cousins, Princes William and Harry, from further pain. She saw how the media frenzy worsened the family's loss and feared any statement from her could add more fuel to a relentless press machine. It also didn't help that she found herself feeling overshadowed. Laura believed the world preferred bigger headlines and royal exclusives, leaving her personal truth somewhere in the margins. Instead of battling rumors and cameras, she chose a path of discretion, giving her mother and aunt space to speak when necessary. However, time has a way of changing perspectives. With William and Harry now grown and forging their own paths, Laura senses the moment has come to break her silence. Over recent months, new talk of Diana's final hours and revelations about who knew what and when have brought painful memories rushing back to the surface. Laura recognizes that her story, the story of a niece trying to cope with grief and unanswered questions, can shed clearer light on that chaotic night in August 1997. She hopes her voice will finally balance some of the wild rumors swirling about Diana's passing and highlight the emotional energy it took to let the official narrative go unchallenged. So she's speaking now, not to tarnish anyone's reputation or stir up controversy, but to honor Diana's unwavering compassion and humanity by sharing how her aunt's death truly affected her. Laura hopes to keep Diana's spirit alive in a way that goes beyond the headlines. In the end, her decision to step forward is rooted in the same motivation that kept her quiet for decades: love for her aunt, respect for her cousins, and the desire to protect what remains of Diana's enduring legacy. Shocking diary entries. Legacy. Shocking diary entries unsealed. Sometimes a single written page can change how we view a person forever. That's exactly what happened when Princess Diana's private diary entries allegedly surfaced, sending shock waves through both her supporters and critics. For years, the world believed it had learned all there was to know about the beloved people's princess. Then came whispers of handwritten notes tucked away in storage or hidden by close friends that told a far more intimate story. According to insiders, these journals revealed the heartbreaking toll Diana's role in the royal family took on her emotional well-being. She scribbled down her anxieties about the constant media hounding and her deep sense of loneliness despite being the most photographed woman on earth. Some entries show intense frustration with the unbending rules of palace life, where every smile, wave, and step had to be flawless. Anyone who reads these pages, the insiders claim, will see a side of Diana that few outside her inner circle got to witness, an overwhelmed young woman wrestling with a world that felt both glamorous and suffocating. But the diaries also capture Diana's enormous love for her sons, William and Harry. She wrote passionately about protecting them from harsh tabloid headlines, wanting them to see what real compassion looked like beyond palace walls. One entry describes her joy at taking them on a private trip to visit AIDS patients so they could learn the power of kindness firsthand. The humility and dedication she hoped to instill in her boys came across in every heartfelt line she penned. These same diaries reportedly detailed the traumas she endured, not just from the public eye but also from betrayals by those she believed were close friends. There's heartbreak and anger, yes, but also a fierce determination to rise above it all. You can almost feel Diana's transformation from a shy, uncertain teenager into a strong champion for humanitarian causes. The scribbles reveal a person who refused to let heartbreak define her, focusing instead on the work that made her soul come alive, supporting charities, visiting hospitals, and standing by those society often overlooked. While skeptics question how genuine these leaked writings might be, those in Diana's circle insist they ring true, and if true, they paint a vivid portrait of a woman who gave her heart to everyone she met, yet often felt alone in her own world. Rift with William and Harry. Despite years of shared family memories and a once tight brotherly bond, Prince William and Prince Harry now seem more distant than ever. Headlines keep buzzing about their disagreements, and royal watchers speculate on how or if the two might ever reconcile. At the center of it all is Princess Diana's legacy, which both brothers hold close to their hearts. Yet even this shared devotion to their late mother hasn't been enough to mend the growing gulf between them. Some people look to the Spencer side of the family for hope. Diana's sisters, Lady Sarah McCorquodale and Lady Jane Fellows, have been quietly supporting both William and Harry since their mother's passing. Insiders say these aunts still serve as a comforting, stabilizing force. Sarah remains engaged in charitable activities close to Diana's heart, and Jane, known for her calm nature, has stayed on warm terms with the royals through major milestones, including weddings and christenings. Even in the face of a very public brotherly feud, both sisters show a unified front for their nephews. Recent events hint that not all is lost. When Lady Jane's husband, Lord Robert Fellows, passed away, both William and Harry attended his funeral, leading some to see a glimmer of hope. A few observers note that if there was a strong intention to completely avoid each other, William might have skipped the gathering. Instead, the two stood under one roof to pay their respects to a beloved uncle, suggesting that personal loyalties can sometimes bridge even the deepest divides. Yet disagreements persist, reportedly fueled by Harry's move to the United States, his public comments about royal life, and differences in how each brother navigates duty and tradition. Some say William feels protective of the institution he'll one day lead, while Harry prioritizes his own family's freedom and well-being above preserving royal protocol. These opposing perspectives have only deepened the strain that began brewing when Harry stepped back from official duties. In truth, only William and Harry know if there's any solid path to reconciliation. Still, royal celebratory moments like weddings, christenings, and the unveiling of Diana's statue show they can come together to honor their mother's memory. Through it all, Lady Sarah and Lady Jane remain quietly in the background, urging peace, love, and unity where possible. Whether those efforts will ultimately heal the rift is anyone's guess, but if there's any silver lining, it's that Diana's family bond still offers a faint light, guiding the way toward a potential reconciliation, however distant it may seem. Were there once pages or letters that revealed Princess Diana's deepest fears, her final wishes, or an urgent cry for help? Rumors have long circulated about missing diary entries and personal notes she kept, potentially shedding new light on her emotional state in the weeks leading up to her car crash in Paris. Although many close to the late princess insist that only fragments, like occasionally unearthed letters to friends, still exist, others believe more extensive writings lie hidden, waiting to be revealed. Some of the most intriguing evidence comes from Diana's own admission that she felt isolated by the royal machine that at times she believed failed to protect her. Close family members, including her sisters Lady Sarah McCorquodale and Lady Jane Fellows, have hinted that Diana expressed her concerns in writing, especially when she was feeling ignored by official channels. They distinctly recall the nights she confided in them, deeply troubled by paparazzi pressures and the strict demands of palace life. Allegedly, part of Diana's coping method was to write everything down, from tearful confessions to practical plans for a more peaceful life. Much of this material was never made public after her tragic passing in 1997. The Spencer family scrambled to preserve Diana's legacy and maintain privacy in the face of global media focus. Some documents and diaries were reportedly locked away at Althorpe, the Spencer ancestral home, which also serves as Diana's final resting place. Over the years, various insiders have come forward claiming they've seen or handled these documents, yet none have surfaced with definitive proof. Either they are carefully protected by family members who prefer to honor her memory in private, or they simply don't exist in the dramatic volume some royal retaliation fears suggest. Royal retaliation fears have grown ever since whispers began circulating that certain members of Princess Diana's family were ready to reveal hidden details about her final days. Talk of possible pushback from the palace has grown louder. Some insiders believe the monarchy is far from willing to let any fresh disclosures further tarnish its carefully protected image. Those closest to the Spencer family sense an undercurrent of unease, an unspoken fear that stepping out of line might lead to closed doors and sudden silences from the most powerful corners of the royal institution. And it's not just vague rumors, certain events have fueled genuine concern. Years ago, the palace was swift to dampen stories about Diana's private letters, with officials hinting at personal matters best kept behind closed gates. More recently, even the suggestion of diaries that show Diana's raw side has been met with stern warnings about respecting royal privacy. To some observers, it's clear this isn't just polite advice but a signal that the monarchy won't hesitate to enforce old traditions. Silence equals survival, and loyalty is non-negotiable. Spencer family members, especially Diana's sisters, Lady Sarah McCorquodale and Lady Jane Fellows, understand there's a delicate line between protecting Diana's memory and shaking up an institution used to controlling its own narrative. At times, they've quietly stepped back rather than risk inflaming tensions. Even with their strong desire to keep Diana's spirit alive, they remain aware of the possible consequences if they tread too close to royal sensitive points. Then there are Diana's nieces and nephews, like Laura Fellows, who grew up with her own memories and questions. Reports suggest that Laura's decision to speak out has been met with subtle cautionary signals. While no official threats have been made, the potential for private pressure or veiled warnings can be enough to make anyone think twice before scheduling any big media interviews. Behind all this is a royal system that guards its traditions fiercely. Critics say the so-called firm relies on its vast network to maintain order, whether that means influencing press coverage or quietly discouraging family members from revealing certain truths. Unofficially, allies of the monarchy might hint that stepping out of royal favor could affect everything from public invitations to treasured family access. What comes next for the niece who rocked the crown? Laura Fellows never intended to create ripples in the royal pond, yet here she stands on the brink of a new chapter that could shift how the world remembers Princess Diana. For years, she was simply known as the quiet niece, the daughter of Diana's sister Lady Jane Fellows. She stayed out of the headlines and avoided the cameras, preferring a calm life where family came first. Now, though, whispers say Laura holds fresh insights into Diana's final hours and the emotional fallout that followed. Friends close to Laura claim her recent decision to speak up stems from a bold desire for clarity. She's reportedly tired of watching conspiracies, half-truths, and tabloid fluff dominate discussions about her aunt's legacy. As a child during all the chaos, Laura felt powerless, seeing the heartbreak in her own family's eyes, hearing contradictory reports, and sensing that grief was being twisted for public spectacle. Stepping forward now isn't just about setting the record straight, it's about protecting her aunt's memory in a culture that still clings to sensationalism. But what comes next for Laura isn't without its risks. Some worry that she could face a quiet pushback from the royal establishment or from those who'd prefer to keep Diana's story locked in polished tradition. The monarchy has shown time and again how fiercely it defends its privacy. Even unofficial channels have ways of closing ranks around those who veer too far off the official script. Yet others believe Laura's gentle approach might actually encourage healthy dialogue, especially among individuals in the royal family who are equally committed to honoring Diana's humanitarian and compassionate legacy. In the weeks and months ahead, many expect Laura to choose a careful path, balancing her need to tell the truth against her wish to avoid fanning drama. There's talk she might collaborate on a private memoir or grant a measured interview that delves into the deeper nuances of Diana's last days. Public reaction could range from passionate support, with people embracing her fresh perspective, to criticism from royal traditionalists who see any public confession as a betrayal.